everyone, welcome back. I'm Melissa Pineda, and today I will be discussing the book Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Before I begin, if there's anything you hear that you like or find interesting, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, I'm going to be discussing a very underrated book, in my opinion. And why should you listen to my review? Well, because I'm going to tell you very briefly what the book's about, why it's amazing, and why it's still relevant today. Also, it's a classic, so if you're not going to read it, you should at least know what it's about. And I say that because I actually just found out what it was about. I spent all of my adult life thinking that Frankenstein was the monster. Now, it's open to interpretation. Some people have argued that Frankenstein was the monster, but not in this sense, not in like a monster sense. So the creation is not called Frankenstein. Victor Frankenstein was the scientist. So written by Mary Shelley in 1816, and she was only 18 years old at the time, which is incredible. So she was from England, born in 1797 and died in 1851, I believe. And her parents were both prominent intellectuals at that time. And here she is, 18 years old, writing this epic novel. Now, I'm sure she had no idea that it would still be a novel that's considered nowadays as a classic and that has so many relevant, interesting, important themes in it. So the novel itself is about, you have Victor Frankenstein. Now, he's a scientist, and he has this obsession with creating life, okay? And I know you can already see some of the themes to today, what we're dealing with: artificial insemination, cloning, all sorts of scientific experiments. This is Victor Frankenstein wanting to create life, wanting to play God, essentially. And this book is really a book of morality for all ages. And the book itself is just really interesting to read on its own, just for the story. This man that creates a monster out of different body parts and organs from people that died. And he just like literally stitched it all together. And it took him years to create this monster, this creation. And he couldn't think of anything else. He lost sleep over it, he lost weight, and he finally creates this. And the monster's eyes open, like he's been waiting for this moment. And this, like the second it happens, he's just disgusted. He's repulsed. He can't believe what he's done. It's almost like he all of a sudden realizes the moral implications, what could happen, the dangers. Like none of this crossed his mind before, but now it has. I had to laugh because my mind was blown. When I was reading this book, I thought, wait a second, Frankenstein's not the monster? Like, I always thought, you know, he's been turned into a Halloween caricature, a Halloween costume, and everyone knows him as, well, that's Frankenstein. No, so Frankenstein, as I've mentioned, is the scientist. And so the second this creation opens its eyes, its creator realizes he doesn't want it. He wishes he had never done it. And he literally runs away from the creation. And that's it. And from that second on, the creation realized that he wasn't wanted, even by the one person that created him. You create life, man and woman, with God, of course, but you create a baby, you have obligations to that baby. And in a way, it could be argued that this creation was Victor Frankenstein's baby. And he just left it. That's it, just left it. I didn't want anything to do with it. And so I'm not going to get into how everything unfolded, but Victor was originally from Geneva, Switzerland, and he was doing his experiments in Germany. And so he ended up making his way back to Geneva. He wanted to go home. I think he was in Germany for a couple of years doing his experiments and finally creating his creation. And so he goes back to Geneva. And now you find out later through the story what happened to the monster. And so the monster ends up realizing through some pretty terrible experiences how horrendous he is, how scary he is. Nobody wants to be around him. He soon realizes that it's just not possible for anyone to actually love him. No one's going to love him. They can't get past his appearance. And he finally meets this blind man with a family. And so there's all these thoughts in his head about what could be. oh, if I got through to this man and had him understand me, then maybe he could love me and his family could love me. And so the monster learns to speak French because this family that he's observing / obsessed with is teaching a woman that came to stay with them to speak French. So he learns to speak French by observing this family, and in his head he almost creates these scenarios, these potential situations where he could also be loved. And then he realizes that it can't happen. So then he decides to go back and find where his creator is from. And so he had some notes in his creator's jacket pocket that he found, and he saw that the letters were from Geneva, from family members. So he went there, and the first person he meets is Victor's younger brother. He ends up killing him. And then it becomes this like horrible series of events where the monster's on a rampage, trying to get to Victor, trying to hurt him. But all he wants is love. And then Victor is just so racked with guilt over what he's done. And it's awful because then you hear from the monster's perspective how he learned to speak French, his encounters, and just like the complete sadness and despair that he feels. And the only thing he wants is to be accepted and loved. And then you can, read into that more. And that's what any kid wants, right? Is just to be accepted and loved by their parents. So you feel so bad for this monster. It's really tricky, right? Because what do you think should happen then? Should he be killed? Or should he be loved? Should he be given a chance? And you're reading all this thinking, okay, I'm really feeling for this monster. But then you're also really feeling for the people that this monster encounters. And then you feel for Victor as well, because he knows what he's done, what it was wrong, trying to be God, trying to play God and create life like this. Victor, who then meets the monster. And at this point, the monster says to him, okay, I'll leave you alone. I've accepted that you don't want anything to do with me. I can't be loved. The only thing that could love me is someone like me. So I need you to create that for me. So then you're thinking, okay, well, this could work, Victor could create a monster companion for the monster, but then what would happen, right? Would they have babies? Would they get angry and kill more humans, or live peacefully? Because that's what this creation is arguing. That's his argument to Victor. Create someone for me. You'll never see me again. No one will ever see us again. And at first Victor thinks, okay, this is the only way I can get rid of this thing. Okay, I'll do it. And he starts to do it. And then he's like, no, that's it. I can't. And he can't go through with it. And it's just like the pain and the agony on both sides. Victor's pain and agony about what he did, and he can't tell anybody. He can't come clean to anybody. And then he's engaged to a woman whom he loves deeply, who tells her, I'm going to tell you, I have something big to tell you after we're married. And so sure enough, they get married. And it's just a very, very tragic tale. I'm just going to leave it there, actually. I'm not going to tell you what actually happens. Suffice it to say, it's an epic read. Some of the main themes throughout, there are so many: scientific responsibility, social isolation, rejection, morality, as I've mentioned, nature versus nurture. And to touch on morality again, the core moral question really is not whether Victor could or couldn't make life, but should he have? You could also interpret morality in terms of societal morality too, and just how people that are outcasts or considered outcasts, how they're treated, right? And I was reading a bunch of different perspectives on this book too, and I found that interesting, that the monster is just craving love, craving affection, craving human interaction. And he becomes violent when he is constantly, continuously rejected by everyone in society, by everyone he encounters. He is rejected, and by entire towns that tried to kill him. He was a complete outcast, and he felt that. And that, in turn, it could be argued, led him to act a certain way, because within all of us is good and evil, and the knowledge of right and wrong. So I'm going to leave it there for now. And if there's anything today that you found interesting or liked, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for listening.